The Bible has a lot to say about time. In fact, we serve a God who is outside of time, which blows my mind. We don't understand that because us, in the human condition, we're stuck in this thing called time. We go from point A to point B, but we serve a God who can see the end from the beginning. And the Bible has a lot to say about time. In Psalms 90, the psalm that Moses wrote, 90 verse 12 says, "So teach us to number our days, so that we might have a heart of wisdom." And I read that and I think, well, what does that mean? To number our days, and why would that give us wisdom? We're coming into a new year. Most of the time, when we get to this part of the year, we're looking back at this last year. We're looking at successes, failures, ways we would like to improve on this next year. And then another part is we set goals. We set goals for our health. We set goals for our fitness, our diet, our wealth, our careers. But the main reason we do this is because we want to improve our life, right? We want this next year to be better than the last. We are thinking about our days, right? And this is important. This is a key thing that God gives us inside of us when we're born. Is He gives us this desire to be good stewards of the things that He gives us. And one of the most precious things He gives us is time. We don't know how long we'll be on this earth. In fact, earlier in the psalm, a couple verses back, Moses at the time is talking to the people of Israel in the desert. The lifespan then, just like it is pretty much now, the average was about 70 or 80 years. So he's saying, what is a life? How long is a life? About 70, maybe if you're healthy, maybe if you've got good genes, 80 years, and then you're gone. It says in verse 10, I believe, it says we fly away. That's where they get that hymn from, is that we will fly away one day after 70, 80 years, and time just like that is taken from us. And so going into the new year, I don't think it's a bad thing at all to set goals for ourselves, to look forward and say, hey, I want to lose some weight, I want to be more healthy, I want to make more money, I want to be a better father, be a better husband. I think those are all great because ultimately God wants us to be a good steward of the things He gives us, of the time that He gives us, of this body that He gives us, of the family, of the people, of the relationships that He puts in our lives. He wants us to be a good steward of those things. But ultimately, my prayer for you, because I don't know what your goals are for this new year, but my prayer is that your number one goal is to deepen your relationship with the God who created you. I hope that wherever you are, that you are all there. And what I mean by that is that wherever God's put you in your life, be a good steward of those relationships. Be a good steward of the time that you have with them. Be a good steward of the ministry opportunities that you have. People think that ministry is this thing behind a pulpit, or maybe even on the street, or missionaries. But the moment that you're saved, you're in missions. You are in ministry. God saved you, not so that you can sit back in church and enjoy a good life. Because if you haven't heard it, this is not your best life. This is not your best life. We are made for something more. And so God wants you to graduate from thinking only about yourself, which is our natural flesh state, that we just think of how to please our flesh. We can step out and think of the things of God, His kingdom multiplying and bringing more to the faith. So I hope that wherever you are, that you're all there this year. I've heard it said that the bad news about time is that it flies. But the good news about time is that you're the pilot. And although that's not in the Bible, I think that's pretty awesome to think about, because although time keeps going, no matter what, we have no say in and stopping it or going back and fixing things. We do have a choice every day of how we manage that time, how we're a steward of it. And the choices that we make every day are important. They're impactful. I believe so strongly that God works more in the mundane, what we think is mundane moments of our life, than the big epic moments that we think are the most important. I just know that God works in all the little things because he sees the big picture. Like I said, he's outside of time, and we're in it. So wherever you're at this year, just be all there. Enjoy every moment, because we don't know. We don't know when the next. We don't know when we're gonna fly away. This may be some of y'all's last year on Earth, but it's not our last year with God. We have a whole eternity to look forward to. So we spend every day here that we're given as a gift looking for ways to bless others, to encourage others, and just to be a good steward of the relationships that God gives us. The Bible always does two things when you read it. And when you read Psalms 90, and you see things like, teach me to number my days so that my heart be full of wisdom, it does two things. It encourages and it confronts. Encourages and confronts. Encourages because, man, God gives us these days, right? We're giving them as a gift already. And God is also giving us his word, giving us a spirit inside of us so that we can understand his word. And he's given us people around us to pour into our lives to help us to go in this journey, right? So it encourages us, but it also confronts us. And that passage confronts us because it tells us that we are not invincible and we do die on this earth. Our time is short. And I think it's harder to see that when you're younger, but the older you get, the more you realize that your time is right around the corner. And most of you know, I just had a son a couple days ago, and man, awesome, best part of the year for me, to see that new life, to see that miracle of life, right? To come into this earth, and a flood of emotions come and thoughts come into your brain, like, man, I gotta teach somebody how to be a man. I gotta provide for this kid. I'm now a father of two. All good, all great things. But I see this life as well. I see a brand new start. His time on this planet started 3 days ago, and it'll end one day. And what is he gonna do with that time? How am I gonna help him to be a good steward of that time in my short time on this earth? And so again, I just leave you with that thought. I hope that you do meet all your fitness goals this year. I hope that you meet your financial goals, and I hope that your relationships are strengthened. Ultimately, I hope that the paramount relationship in your life is one with Jesus Christ. But wherever you are this year, just be all there. I love y'all.